Call the Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I present the Appropriation Bill No. 1, 2024-25 and the explanatory memorandum.
And I call the Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an Act to appropriate money out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund for expenditure to appropriate money out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund for the ordinary annual services of the government and for related purposes.
And I call the Treasurer.
Thank you, Speaker. I move that the bill be now read a second time. And on this Ngunnawal land, I acknowledge all of the First Nations people of this country and the custodians, customs and cultures which guide and inspire us. Mr Speaker, this is a budget for the here and now, and it's a budget for the decades to come. It's a responsible budget that helps people under pressure today and invests in the promise and potential of the more prosperous future that we can make together. Our main priorities are helping with the cost of living, building more homes for Australians, investing in a future made in Australia and the skills and universities we'll need to make it a reality, strengthening Medicare and the care economy, and responsible economic management which is set to produce another surplus and help fight inflation. Speaker, this government and this budget delivers for every Australian. A tax cut for every taxpayer, wages growing in every industry, a better deal for every working parent, a fairer go at every checkout, new help with energy bills for every household and for small business, stronger Medicare in every community, more homes in every state and territory, more opportunities in every TAFE and university, a dignified retirement for older Australians, energy and industry policies that help bring the jobs of the future to every corner of our country, an economic plan where growth and opportunity go together, a government and a budget for every Australian. This budget is framed in fraught and fragile global conditions. The world economy is resilient in parts but subdued overall. Inflation is lingering in North America. Growth is slowing in China and tepid in Europe. Tensions have escalated in the Middle East and they persist in Ukraine. Global supply chains are fragmenting. This uncertainty combines with cost of living pressures and higher interest rates to slow our economy, with growth forecast to be just 1.75% this financial year and 2% next. Slower growth means a softer labour market, with unemployment expected to rise slightly to 4.5% next year, even as we create tens of thousands of new jobs. I want Australians to know that despite everything coming at us, we are among the best placed economies to manage these uncertainties and maximise our opportunities. We have an envied combination of moderating inflation, record new jobs, near record participation, real wages growth, the lowest ever gender pay gap and expanding business investment. Annual inflation has more than halved from its peak in 2022 and it's now lower than anticipated in the mid-year update, but we know that people are still under the pump. That's why we designed our cost of living policies to ease these pressures and take another 0.75 of a percentage point off inflation this year and 0.5 percentage point next year. Treasury is now forecasting that inflation could return to target earlier, perhaps even by the end of this year. At the same time, around 780,000 jobs have been created under this government, a record for any first term. This is stronger jobs growth than in any major advanced economy. Real wages are growing again for the first time in almost 3 years. Business investment is now expected to record its longest annual expansion since the mining boom. And we're addressing the pressures caused by population growth, with net overseas migration next year now expected to be half what it was last year. Speaker, the number one priority of this government and this budget is helping Australians with the cost of living. Responsible relief that eases pressure on people and directly reduces inflation. The comprehensive cost of living plan in this budget delivers a tax cut for every taxpayer, provides new power bill relief for people and small businesses. It freezes the cost of medicines. It makes student loans fairer. It boosts competition in our economy so families and farmers get a fairer deal. And it supports renters as well. Our new tax cuts for Middle Australia are the biggest part of the cost of living relief in this budget. From July 1, all 13.6 million taxpayers will get a tax cut. And for 84% of taxpayers and 90% of tax-paying women, a bigger tax cut than they would have under the previous government. Yeah. This is about rewarding the hard work of our nurses and teachers and truckies and tradies, and the 2.9 million people earning $45,000 a year or less who would have received nothing. The average benefit is $1,888 a year, which is $36 a week. Our tax cuts are better for families and communities, women and young people. They are better for business and they are better for the economy.